Change is in the air. Whether you like it or not, Edmonton, Alberta just passed a density boosting zoning bylaw allowing three-story apartments and row housing citywide. What does that mean to you, and how does that change how you view Edmonton? You're going to want to check out this video where I, Karen Stanko of Remax, interview Rick Dulat of Berkshire Homes and showcase his new build in Grandview Heights, which has full garden suites with basements. This is a really interesting interview, so check it out. Grandview Heights in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, where I'm interviewing Rick Dulat today of Berkshire Homes. This is quite a unique infill, as Rick's done some cool things to it that you're going to want to hear about, and is going to also share with us what's going on with infill today. So Rick, can you explain some of the things that you decided to do in this project that you feel is different than most of the infill that's happening in Edmonton right now?
Hi Karen, thank you. So in this area, we took this lot that wasn't very wide. It was 63 feet wide, and the pockets were 23 feet each. So what we did is, to make the main floor have more light and have those windows, we did a drive-in garage. So it's a sloped driveway, and that way you gain 400 extra square feet on the main floor, and you have a lot more natural light. And then we still had some site covers left over, so we added a garden suite in the back, which we'll show you in a few minutes. And next door, we're currently framing a project, but that's for another episode.
Awesome. Okay, so when you look at doing an infill, what is your main focus? Is it light? Is it exposure to natural light, or is it making as much square footage of space, or what do you usually have in mind?
I think it depends on the end user. If it's for investment purposes, if it's for your primary residence, and then if it is for primary residence, how many people are in the family? If you need an in-law suite or a nanny suite, or do you have older children that are living with you? So it all depends on that, and then we work backwards. So we find the lot that is appropriate for the size of home that the family needs, and then we go from there.
Okay, so when you guys are doing these under garages in Edmonton, the weather can be a little bit cold here. Did you do any types of features to keep it extra insulated or anything with these under-house garages?
Yeah. So firstly, for the driveway, since it's sloped, it has an 8% slope. So we have a boiler system, and we're running heat throughout the driveway. So it's a snow melt system. So you don't have to worry about shoveling your driveway. And at the same time, we use that boiler to heat the garage and the basement. And for the garage walls, we added extra insulation. And in the ceiling, because there's living space above, we did a hot box where you have spray foam, and then underneath that. So it's quite insulated, has a high R value.
Okay, when you're purchasing a property like this, a really big lot, to do, to split and to do infill in, what type of environment in terms of neighborhood do you look for? Because obviously this is a little bit more of an expensive home. So what type of features in a neighborhood are you looking for?
Typically, most of my clients are young families with children. So the first thing we typically look at is a school. What kind of school are you looking at? Are you strictly looking at ranking, academics, or sports programs? So we find the top 2 schools that they're thinking about, and we start searching in that area. And then once you find the area, you decide. Typically, the homes will have a rear alley, so you have a rear detached garage, which a lot of families don't prefer. And then sometimes we'll get lucky and find a lot like this where it's a front attached. It's actually, we have an alley, but it's an undeveloped alley, and that's where we were able to get our rear gardens.
So I've been speaking a little bit on past episodes about the fact that the infill in Edmonton and all of the basically the whole Edmonton planning is being revamped right now, and it hasn't been redone since 1960. So taking into consideration, what type of things are you going to see? Are we going to see more garden suites like this, or height? You got quite high here, or are they going to get higher? What's your thoughts on this changes in infill?
That's actually a really good question. If we start with height, this house behind me is actually 2 stories. So there's 10-foot ceilings in the main and 9 in the second. We're maximized on height at 8.9 meters. We had planned to do the third story, but that required low ceiling heights. So we eliminated the third story. But now, with the new rules coming up, we're allowed 10.5 meters. Then you can have 10-foot ceiling, 9, then multi ceiling in the third. So you will get more square footage. You will see more projects like this, I feel. So right now, we're in a mature neighborhood that's RF1. We can have a legal basement suite and a legal garden suite or porch in the back. So you can have 3 dwellings. If the rules are passed, in a neighborhood like this, you could actually almost build 3 stories plus a basement. You could have front, back, duplexes, and rear garden suites, so a lot more density, just depending on the neighborhood the one belongs to.
Okay, very cool. And just for you viewers at home, that those new rules are coming into effect, or should be coming into effect, in January 2024. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to show you guys the garden suites, because that's really what's quite cool about this project, and gets a lot of people excited. So let's go check that out. So here we are in, this is quite an amazing feat that you decided to do. How do you see this happening more in Edmonton? And I'd like to really understand what went on in the planning process.
So with this one, it's in the backyard. And so we actually have a main floor and a second floor. Since it's not a garage suite, it's a garden suite. And we're actually one of the first builders in the Edmonton region to have a basement as well. It's not a legal basement suite, but there's a rec room, a bedroom, and a washroom. So there could be 2 university students on the main floor. They have a shared kitchen, living area, and then there's a primary bedroom upstairs here with vaulted ceilings, walk-in closet, and a primary bath. So we have almost 800 square feet above grade, plus a finished basement in the backyard.
Wow. So just to put this into perspective, some of the houses that I sell in the Edmonton Alberta region are the size of 800 square feet, and I actually have one listed currently that's only 580 square feet with a full basement. So this house is actually bigger than that, which is surprising, and in the backyard. Now, ways that I see this happening in Edmonton is this could be a great design for people that are working out of their home, or just want some passive income. And what type of rent do you think that people will be getting from a suite like this?
So when we had the appraisal from the bank, they appraised it based on rent being $1,600 a month. Since it wasn't built and we had a lot of time, we wanted to test the market because there's not very many comparables of a product like this. There's a lot of garage suites, but not very many garden suites. So we actually put it up for $2,000, and we had tons of hits on it. And so we've actually taken the ad down, and we're going to wait till it's finished and it shows really well. So $2,000 to $2,200 would be very reasonable for this, because we put the house, which is 1,700 square feet above grade, for $4,000, and I would say 8 times out of 10 people ask for the garden suite because it's a lot more affordable. It's pretty much your own house at the end of the day without paying a huge amount.
Yeah, and as an aside, this particular property is located quite close to the LRT of Edmonton. So we are right near the University Farm and South Edmonton University of Alberta campus. So we are in a great location here. So I would say, what do you think, Rick? Location, 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 always with real estate. So as an aside, this probably is an ideal location for people that want a mortgage helper by having a garden suite. That something like this is ideal.
It could be a few uses. It could be, like you said, a home-based business. It could be a mortgage helper. It could be a nanny suite, in-law suite, lots of options. Or it could just be an extra area to hang out, and you can still have, there's still a legal 1-bedroom basement suite in the house as well. So if you want to rent that out and keep this, or vice versa, there's lots of options.
Yeah, so I think probably what I'm seeing in properties as well is that the more options, the better. So people don't like being pigeonholed into a certain style. A lot of people want different types of options depending on how they grow in their home. If you're growing as you get older and you want to downsize, maybe then just living in the garden suite is better, or perhaps living in the basement suite if you are living overseas most of the time. So it provides that type of options so that you can keep gaining passive income as time goes on.
And also you spoke about aging in place. You could also build a bungalow style garden suite. It doesn't have to be 2 stories. Or if it is 2 stories, you could put an elevator in the middle. So it is great for aging in place because people get accustomed to the neighborhood that their kids grew up in, and they tend not to want to move away, but sometimes they have to if it's a 2-story home and the doors aren't wide enough, so you need wheelchair access.
What was the design aspect, trying to bring in as much windows as possible?
Yeah, we want to bring as much natural light as possible, so we have windows higher up where we'll have to have remote blinds, of course. And then we also have Euro style tilt and turn windows. So it's not a typical rental spec per se. We built it still with custom specs in our mind, and people are willing to pay for that in the right neighborhood. So we don't really have too much competition in this zone, because typically when you're looking at rentals, it's all about maximizing the density, but we like to maximize on the design aspect.
Cool. So, what did you think about Berkshire Homes' new project in Grandview Heights? Send your pros and cons in the comments below. I'd be curious how the new infill bylaws are going to be affecting you, and what you think about the 15-minute city concept that the City of Edmonton is exploring. I'm Karen Stanko, and I'm with Remax Real Estate. Subscribe below.